The Unwritten Story, from Stone Age Survival to the Dawn of Empires. 1. Hook and intro. Imagine a world, not so long ago in the grand scheme of time, where humanity was just a whisper on the wind. Our ancestors lived as fleeting shadows, constantly moving, constantly searching, forever tethered to the rhythm of the wild. For over 2.5 million years, human history unfolded in this primal dance, a vast expanse of time that accounts for more than 99% of our existence on Earth. It was a time without cities, without kings, without books, where survival was the only law. Then, in what seems like the blink of an eye, everything changed. Picture this. One moment, you are a nomadic hunter, spear in hand, stalking game across endless plains, your entire world contained within the next meal. The next, you are part of a bustling city, bricks rising to the sky, complex laws governing your life, and an army of scribes etching your stories into clay. This transformation, from scattered bands of hunter-gatherers to the first glittering beacons of civilization, is arguably the most profound journey humanity has ever undertaken. It is a story of unparalleled ingenuity, relentless struggle, and astonishing adaptation. Today, we take cities for granted. We live in a world defined by intricate social structures, complex technologies, and a shared understanding of history, all recorded and preserved. But where did it all begin? How did we move from simply surviving day to day to building monuments that defied time, writing systems that captured thought, and empires that spanned continents? This video will embark on that incredible odyssey, tracing humanity's path from the Old Stone Age, through the revolutionary shift to agriculture, and finally, to the magnificent birth of the world's first great civilizations. We will uncover the pivotal moments, the groundbreaking inventions, and the sheer audacity of our ancestors that reshaped the very fabric of human existence. We will explore how the control of a simple flame, the mastery of a crude stone, and the decision to plant a single seed ultimately led to the construction of pyramids, the codification of laws, and the dawn of recorded history. This isn't just a tale of ancient peoples. It is the fundamental origin story of who we are today, a testament to the enduring human spirit to innovate, organize, and dream of a future beyond mere survival. Get ready to journey through millions of years, condensed into one epic narrative, as we unlock the secrets of the unwritten past and witness the birth of everything we know. The story of humanity is one of constant evolution, not just biologically, but culturally and technologically. For countless generations, survival was the only goal, dictated by the harsh realities of nature. Our early ancestors were intimately connected to their environment, their lives a direct response to the bounty and the brutality of the wild. They lived in small, mobile groups, following game and seasonal plant cycles, leaving behind only fragmentary evidence of their existence. Their world was vast, untamed, and brimming with challenges. It was a life of constant movement, a primal existence where every day brought new dangers and new opportunities. This nomadic lifestyle, while demanding, fostered incredible adaptability and a deep understanding of the natural world. They learned which plants were edible, which animals were dangerous, and how to track their prey with unmatched precision. Their tools, though simple by modern standards, were marvels of their time, allowing them to process food, fashion clothing, and defend themselves against formidable predators. This was the crucible in which human ingenuity was first forged. But even in this age of raw survival, the seeds of something greater were being sown. The human mind, ever curious, ever striving, was beginning to unlock secrets that would eventually change everything. The ability to control fire, to craft tools, to communicate with complex sounds, these were the first whispers of the revolution to come. The stage was being set for a transformation that would redefine humanity's place in the world. 2. Historical context and setup. For millions of years, our hominin ancestors roamed the earth. The journey began in Africa with early tool users like Homo habilis around 2.5 million years ago, evolving into the upright Homo erectus, who ventured out of Africa. Homo erectus was a true pioneer, not only mastering more advanced stone tools like the Acheulean hand axe, but also, crucially, harnessing the power of fire. Fire provided warmth, protection from predators, and a revolutionary way to cook food, unlocking more nutrients and potentially contributing to brain development. Then, roughly 300,000 years ago, Homo sapiens, our direct ancestors, emerged in Africa. With larger brains, complex language, and a capacity for abstract thought, we began to differentiate ourselves. The Paleolithic Era, often called the Old Stone Age, was defined by these hunter-gatherer societies, living in small, egalitarian bands of 20 to 50 individuals. Their lives were dictated by the availability of resources, moving with the seasons and the migrations of game. But this wasn't a static period. Tools continued to evolve from crude choppers to finely crafted blades, spear throwers, and even bone and antler implements. Evidence from sites like Lascaux and Altamira in Europe, dating back tens of thousands of years, reveals stunning cave paintings, vibrant depictions of animals, hunting scenes, and abstract symbols. These weren't just decorative, they were perhaps expressions of spiritual beliefs, hunting rituals, or ways to pass down knowledge. Portable art, like the Venus figurines, suggest early forms of symbolic representation and possibly fertility worship. The world itself was a dynamic place. The Paleolithic spanned numerous ice ages, known as the Pleistocene epoch, with massive glaciers covering large parts of the continents. These dramatic climatic shifts caused sea levels to drop, creating land bridges that allowed humans to migrate across vast distances, reaching Eurasia, Australia, and eventually the Americas. Imagine the courage and adaptability required to venture into completely unknown territories, facing new predators and climates. Around 10,000 BCE, the last ice age began to recede, ushering in a warmer, more stable climate. The vast megafauna like woolly mammoths slowly disappeared, and new forests and grasslands emerged. This environmental shift, while challenging, presented new opportunities. Human populations, though still relatively small, had grown. The older hunter-gatherer strategies, while successful for millennia, were perhaps becoming less sustainable in a world of changing resources and increasing numbers. This laid the crucial groundwork for the most radical transformation in human history, the Neolithic Revolution. The stage was now set. For millions of years, humanity had been reactive, adapting to its environment. But a new era was dawning, one where humans would begin to actively shape their surroundings, not just to survive, but to thrive in ways unimaginable to their ancient ancestors. The pressure was building, the knowledge accumulating, and the time for change had arrived. The fertile lands and changing climates would soon beckon humanity to make a gamble that would forever alter its destiny. 3. The story unfolds. The year is around 10,000 BCE. The great glaciers have retreated, and the world is slowly warming. Game animals like the mammoth are scarcer. Instead, wild grains like wheat and barley are flourishing in regions like the Fertile Crescent, an arc of land stretching from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean. Our ancestors, ever observant, had long noticed these plants, perhaps even encouraging their growth. But now, a deeper realization began to dawn. What if they didn't have to constantly chase their food? What if they could bring the food to them? This was the spark of the Neolithic Revolution, a turning point so profound that some historians call it the greatest gamble humanity ever took. It wasn't a sudden event, but a gradual, often arduous process that unfolded over thousands of years and across multiple continents independently. The decision to settle down, to plant seeds, and to domesticate wild animals like sheep, goats, and cattle was a monumental shift. It required immense labor clearing land, tilling soil, waiting for harvests, but it promised a more reliable food supply, a surplus. The first permanent settlements began to appear. Jericho, in modern-day Palestine, is one of the oldest known continuously inhabited places, perhaps starting as a ceremonial center around 10,000 BCE and growing into a fortified town by 8,000 BCE. Its massive stone wall and tower suggest not only communal organization, but also the need for defense, perhaps against rival groups competing for valuable agricultural land. Another remarkable site is Saddle-Huruk in Anatolia, dating back to 7,500 BCE. This sprawling settlement, home to thousands of people, was a labyrinth of mud brick houses built side by side, with residents entering through roof openings. It had no streets, no public buildings, but showed sophisticated social organization, intricate domestic art, and evidence of specialized crafts like obsidian tools and woven textiles. The sheer scale and complexity of such communities demonstrated that a settled agricultural life could support far larger populations than nomadic hunting and gathering ever could. With agriculture came pottery, essential for storing surplus grains and water, and new polished stone tools like axes and sickles, more efficient for farming and carpentry. People no longer had to carry all their possessions, they could accumulate them. This accumulation led to wealth, and wealth, for the first time, led to significant social stratification. Instead of relatively egalitarian bands, societies now had farmers, artisans, and emergent leaders or priests who managed communal projects and resources. But this revolution had a darker side. While food was more plentiful, diets often became less varied, leading to new health problems. Living in close proximity to domesticated animals and denser populations also facilitated the spread of diseases. And the concept of owning land, of accumulated wealth, ignited conflicts and warfare on a scale unknown to earlier nomadic groups. Yet, there was no turning back. Humanity had committed to a new path, a path that demanded even greater organization and ingenuity. As agricultural communities grew, so did their needs. Managing large-scale irrigation, defending bigger settlements, and resolving disputes among a more diverse population required new forms of leadership and governance. This was the crucible in which the first cities, and then the first civilizations, would be forged. The stage was now set for the Bronze Age, a period that would see the true explosion of human creativity and organization. Around 4000 to 3000 BCE, a new technological breakthrough emerged: metallurgy. Initially, humans discovered how to work copper, a relatively soft metal. But soon, they learned to alloy copper with tin, creating bronze, a metal far harder and more durable. The Bronze Age had begun. Bronze tools revolutionized agriculture, making plows more effective and allowing for larger harvests. Bronze weapons transformed warfare, making armies more formidable. But bronze was expensive, requiring specialized skills to mine and smelt, and tin was often scarce, spurring extensive trade networks across vast distances. This technological leap coincided with another critical development: the mastery of water management. The great river valleys, the Tigris and Euphrates, the Nile, the Indus, and the Yellow River, offered incredibly fertile soil, enriched by annual floods. But these floods could also be devastating. Learning to control the rivers through elaborate irrigation systems, canals, and levees was a monumental task that required coordinated labor on a scale never before seen. This collective effort, managing resources for thousands, necessitated centralized authority. And so, in these fertile cradles, the first great civilizations began to rise, each with its unique character, yet all sharing the fundamental elements born from agriculture and organized labor. Mesopotamia, the land between two rivers. Around 3500 BCE, in the unpredictable basin of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, modern-day Iraq, the Sumerians founded the world's first true cities, Uruk, Lagesh. These were not just large towns, but bustling urban centers with tens of thousands of inhabitants, monumental architecture, and complex social structures. The unpredictable nature of their rivers, prone to sudden, violent floods, deeply influenced their worldview, one often marked by anxiety and a desire to appease powerful, fickle gods. The Sumerians were astonishing innovators. They invented the wheel, revolutionizing transport and pottery production. They developed the plow, further boosting agriculture. But their most profound invention was cuneiform, the world's first known writing system, scratched into clay tablets. Initially used for record-keeping, tracking grain, taxes, and trade, it quickly evolved to record laws, literature, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, and religious texts. Writing was the dawn of recorded history, a way to capture knowledge and complex ideas across generations. Mesopotamian civilization was characterized by competing city-states, each with its own ruler, often a priest-king and patron deity. These city-states frequently warred for land and resources, leading to the rise of powerful conquerors like Sargon of Akkad, who forged the world's first empire around 2334 BCE. Later, the Babylonians, under Hammurabi, created one of the earliest and most comprehensive written legal codes, etched onto a towering stone stele, establishing concepts of justice and retribution that resonate even today. An eye for an eye. Ancient Egypt, the gift of the Nile. Around 3100 BCE, a unified kingdom emerged along the Nile River. Unlike Mesopotamia's chaotic rivers, the Nile's annual flooding was remarkably predictable, bringing fertile silt and water to irrigate the narrow strip of land along its banks. This predictability fostered a sense of stability, order, and an optimistic worldview for the Egyptians, reflected in their belief in a benevolent cosmos and a glorious afterlife. Egypt was ruled by pharaohs, who were considered divine beings, mediators between gods and humans. This centralized, divine authority led to millennia of remarkable stability and monumental achievements. They developed their own distinct writing system, hieroglyphs, beautiful pictographic symbols used for monumental inscriptions on temples and tombs, and a cursive form called hieratic for papyrus scrolls. The Egyptians were master engineers and architects. They built the colossal pyramids of Giza, eternal resting places for their pharaohs, demonstrating an astonishing command of logistics, labor organization, and geometry. Their advancements in mathematics, astronomy, leading to a sophisticated solar calendar, and medicine were unparalleled for their time. The desert provided natural barriers, giving Egypt a relative isolation that allowed its unique culture to flourish largely undisturbed for centuries. Indus Valley Civilization, Harappan, the Lost Cities. Far to the east, along the Indus River in what is now Pakistan and northwest India, another great civilization flourished between 2600 and 1900 BCE. The Harappans built remarkably well-planned cities like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, masterpieces of urban design. These cities featured sophisticated grid layouts, multi-story brick houses, and astonishingly, advanced sanitation systems, including indoor plumbing, private baths, and a complex network of drains, and sewers, a level of public health infrastructure not seen again for millennia. Unlike Mesopotamia and Egypt, there is little evidence of grand palaces, monumental temples, or powerful kings in the Indus Valley. This has led some scholars to suggest a more egalitarian society, perhaps ruled by a council of merchants or priests. They developed their own unique script, etched onto seals, but tragically it remains undeciphered, leaving many aspects of their political structure, religion, and daily life shrouded in mystery. They engaged in extensive trade, with Indus seals found as far away as Mesopotamia. Around 1900 BCE, the Indus Valley civilization mysteriously declined. Theories range from climate change, droughts, shifting river courses, ecological degradation to invasions. Its eventual collapse left behind magnificent ruins and a tantalizing puzzle for archaeologists. Yellow River Civilization, the cradle of China. In East Asia, along the fertile but volatile Yellow River, Huanghe, another distinct civilization began to take shape. The mythical Xia dynasty is thought to have laid the groundwork, but archaeological evidence clearly points to the Shang dynasty, c. 1600–1046 BCE, as the first confirmed historical Chinese state. Like their counterparts, the Shang relied on agriculture, particularly millet cultivation, and developed sophisticated water control systems to manage the Yellow River's often devastating floods, earning it the nickname China's Sorrow. The Shang were masters of bronze casting, producing intricately decorated vessels, weapons, and ritual objects of unparalleled beauty and craftsmanship. They developed a unique pictographic script, often inscribed on oracle bones, turtle shells, or ox scapulae used for divination. These inscriptions, recording questions to ancestors or deities, are the earliest confirmed form of Chinese writing and provide invaluable insights into Shang society, religion, and governance. The Shang ruled a hierarchical society with a king at its apex, supported by a powerful nobility. Ancestor worship was a central religious practice, believing that deceased ancestors could influence the living. The Shang were eventually overthrown by the Zhou dynasty, c. 1046 to 256 BCE, who introduced the powerful concept of the mandate of heaven, a philosophical justification for rule where the king's authority was granted by divine power, but could be revoked if he governed unjustly. This concept profoundly influenced Chinese political thought for millennia. These four great civilizations, though geographically distant and culturally distinct, shared a common thread. They were all born from the transformative power of agriculture, the necessity of organized labor, and the ingenuity to overcome environmental challenges. They built monumental structures, created complex social systems, and most importantly, developed writing, transcending the boundaries of oral tradition and ushering in the era of recorded history. 5. Impact and legacy. The emergence of these first great civilizations fundamentally reshaped human existence, laying the foundations for virtually everything that came after. The immediate outcomes were transformative. Humanity moved from small, mobile bands to vast urban centers, necessitating the creation of sophisticated governance systems, from the divine kingship of Egypt to the city-states of Mesopotamia. Laws, like Hammurabi's Code, emerged to regulate increasingly complex social interactions, defining rights, responsibilities, and punishments in a hierarchical society. Economies grew far beyond subsistence. Agricultural surplus allowed for widespread specialization of labor, creating artisans, merchants, soldiers, and administrators who did not directly produce food. This fostered extensive trade networks, connecting distant regions and facilitating the exchange of goods, technologies, and ideas. The wheel, a Mesopotamian invention, revolutionized transport and pottery. Metallurgy advanced, providing better tools and weapons, fundamentally altering warfare and construction. Long-term, the legacy is immense. These civilizations provided the bedrock of modern society. Our concepts of law, governance, and administration have roots in their early systems. Mathematics, astronomy, and medicine, which began as practical tools for farming, timekeeping, and healing, were developed to impressive levels. The very idea of an organized state, with its territory, bureaucracy, and military, originated in these ancient river valleys. Perhaps the most enduring legacy is writing. Before cuneiform or hieroglyphs, history was ephemeral, passed down through oral traditions. With writing, knowledge could be accumulated, codified, and transmitted across generations and vast distances. It allowed for the development of literature, religious texts, and detailed historical records, truly separating prehistory from history and giving us insight into their worlds. Imagine a world without written records. Our understanding of the past would be a mere fraction of what it is. Consider the alternative. What if the Neolithic Revolution never happened? What if agriculture never took root? Humanity would likely still be living in small hunter-gatherer bands, far fewer in number, without the complex societies, technologies, or accumulated knowledge that define our world. There would be no cities, no advanced science, no global communication. The world we inhabit, with all its complexities and conveniences, is a direct descendant of the decisions and innovations made by these ancient peoples. Their monumental architecture, the pyramids, ziggurats, and planned cities, continues to inspire awe and curiosity, a testament to what organized human labor and ambition can achieve. Their myths and religious beliefs laid the groundwork for many later spiritual traditions. Even the challenges they faced, such as environmental degradation, a possible factor in the Indus Valley decline, or the fragility of interconnected systems, as seen in the later Bronze Age collapse around 1200 BCE, which saw a widespread breakdown of societies across the Near East, offer cautionary tales for contemporary societies. 6. Reflections and Lessons. The grand narrative from the Paleolithic era to the first civilizations offers profound insights into the very nature of humanity. It shows us an astonishing capacity for adaptability. Our ancestors faced ice ages, changing environments, and existential threats, yet they continuously innovated and found new ways to survive and thrive. This inherent human drive to overcome challenges, to push boundaries, is perhaps our most defining characteristic. We also learn about the double-edged sword of progress. While agriculture brought stability and surplus, it also introduced new diseases, harder labor, and crucially, social inequality. The rise of cities and states brought order and innovation, but often at the cost of individual freedom and through the creation of rigid social hierarchies, including slavery. Every step forward in human history often carries an unforeseen cost. The immense power of collective action and organization is another key lesson. Building an irrigation system, constructing a pyramid, or defending a city required thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, of people working together under a unified vision. These monumental achievements underscore that humanity's greatest strengths often lie in its ability to cooperate, plan, and execute on a grand scale. Here are some questions to ponder. Was the Neolithic Revolution, despite its transformative benefits, a net positive for individual human well-being, considering factors like diet, disease, and labor? To what extent does geography and the environment truly determine a society's destiny, and how much is shaped by human agency and unique cultural choices? What criteria truly define a civilization, and how might our modern, often Western-centric, understanding overlook or misinterpret the achievements of other early societies? What can the mysterious decline of civilizations like the Indus Valley or the widespread disruption of the Bronze Age collapse teach us about the long-term sustainability and fragility of complex societies? How do the philosophical and religious ideas that emerged in these early civilizations continue to shape our moral frameworks, ethical codes, and understanding of the universe today? If faced with a choice today, would you choose the relative freedom and smaller scale of a hunter-gatherer existence, or the structured complexity and technological advancement of early civilization? How does the invention of writing fundamentally change the human experience, and what aspects of our modern lives are directly dependent on this ancient innovation? What enduring human traits, first observed in the Paleolithic era, continue to manifest in our modern world, from our collective desire for meaning to our capacity for both cooperation and conflict? 7. Outro from the echoing silence of the Paleolithic savanna to the bustling marketplaces of ancient Sumer, Egypt, the Indus Valley, and China, humanity embarked on an extraordinary journey of transformation. It was a story forged in stone tools and tempered by fire, culminating in the greatest gamble of all, the decision to settle, to cultivate, to build. Our ancestors' ingenuity gave us agriculture, the blueprint for cities, the first written words, and the very concept of organized society. This incredible saga is not merely a collection of dates and names. It is the living history of our collective origins, a testament to the persistent human drive to adapt, to innovate, and to seek meaning in the world. The challenges they overcame, the lessons they learned, and the foundations they laid continue to resonate through every aspect of our modern lives. Understanding this foundational era is not just about looking backward. It is about comprehending the very essence of human progress and the enduring power of our shared past. If you've been captivated by this epic journey through time, there's so much more to explore. Perhaps you'd be interested in delving deeper into the mysterious Bronze Age collapse, unraveling the dramatic end of this interconnected world around 1200 BCE and how it reset civilization. The rise of the Iron Age empires, discovering how a new metal fueled the expansion of empires like Assyria and Persia and led to profound philosophical shifts. Ancient Mesoamerican civilizations, journeying to the Americas to explore the Olmec, Maya, and Aztec, who built complex societies in isolation from the Old World. The birth of philosophy in the Axial Age, examining the period when thinkers like Confucius, Buddha, and early Greek philosophers fundamentally reshaped human thought. Thank you for joining us on this incredible expedition to the dawn of civilization. Remember, history isn't just about what happened. It's about understanding how we became who we are and where we might be heading next. Keep exploring, keep learning, and never stop being curious about the human story.